Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. Once, people lived in a comfortable and predictable Newtonian world. You push a stone, and it moves. You throw an apple, and it falls. Everything was logical, solid, and dead. In that system, the human being was merely a spectator. But at the beginning of the 20th century, reality changed. Scientists looked inside matter, and instead of mechanical parts, they found ghosts. Physicists were confident. We already know everything about the universe. All that remained was to refine a few decimal places. Newton's world was smooth. Energy flowed continuously. Everything was predictable and logical. But inside that perfect picture, there was a ticking time bomb called the ultraviolet catastrophe. The problem appeared in the calculations of black-body radiation, for example, from an ordinary heated stove. According to classical physics, any heated object should emit an infinite amount of energy in the ultraviolet spectrum. The mathematics was screaming. Every burner turned on in a kitchen should instantly turn the universe into a scorched desert. But reality stubbornly refused to obey the formulas. People sat near fireplaces, and no catastrophe happened. Physics reached a dead end. Either the universe had gone insane, or all of our knowledge had become useless. Everything changed in that moment. In 1900, the German physicist Max Planck, a strict conservative, did something he later called an act of desperation. To make the formulas match reality, he introduced an absurd assumption. Energy cannot be transferred as an infinitely smooth flow. It is transferred in packets. He called these packets quanta, from the Latin quantum, meaning how much. The Newtonian world is like walking up a smooth ramp. Planck's world is like climbing a staircase. You cannot stand between steps. You are either on one step or the next, from analog to digital. This was the first glimpse of a digital universe. Planck discovered that the universe has a minimum step, Planck's constant h. Suddenly we realized something shocking. The world is not analog. It is built from pixels of energy. Just like in a computer game, where zooming in reveals tiny squares, reality itself turned out to be granular. If energy is discrete, then the fabric of existence contains something that looks very much like program code. This discovery shook the foundations of materialism. At the deepest level, the universe does not flow. It ticks in frames like a film reel. This was the first step toward a terrifying realization. Reality is not a solid monolith. It is a flexible structure built from bits of information. The safety valve of the ultraviolet catastrophe worked. The universe did not burn down, only because it is quantum. At the beginning of the 20th century, Ernest Rutherford decided to test how the atom was structured. At that time, scientists believed the atom was like a dense pudding with raisins inside. Rutherford fired heavy alpha particles at an ultra-thin sheet of gold foil. He expected them to bounce back like balls hitting a wall. But something impossible happened. 99.9% of the particles passed through the gold as if it were a ghost. It was as strange as firing a cannon at a sheet of paper, only to see the cannonball pass straight through it. Rutherford and Niels Bohr realized the terrifying truth. The atom is empty. To understand the scale of this emptiness, imagine this. If the atomic nucleus were enlarged to the size of a fly and placed at the center of a football stadium, the atom itself would end somewhere in the upper stands. Everything between the fly and the stands is absolute nothingness. If all the empty space were removed from the atoms that make up humanity, all 8 billion people would fit inside the volume of a single apple. But that apple would weigh billions of tons. So if we are 99.9% empty space, why don't our hands pass through a table? The answer is astonishing. Solidness does not exist. What we call touch is simply the resistance of electric fields. The electrons at your fingertips repel the electrons of the table. You have never physically touched anything in your life. You only feel the electromagnetic protest of two force fields. We realized something profound. Matter is not substance. It is extremely concentrated energy, compressed into tiny points of space. Everything that appears reliable, walls, cars, even your own body, is nothing more than a thin mist vibrating at a certain frequency. The matrix is not somewhere outside. It is hidden in the structure of the atom itself. We are ghosts living inside a vibrating emptiness that creates the illusion of a solid world. Change the vibration, change the program of this field, and matter itself may stop being an obstacle. Now imagine an experiment that should never have worked. A device fires electrons toward a screen. In front of the screen stands a barrier with two narrow slits. According to Newtonian logic, electrons are tiny bullets. They should pass through the slits and leave two vertical stripes on the screen. But when physicists ran the experiment, they saw something impossible. An interference pattern appeared, many alternating stripes, exactly like waves spreading across water after two stones are thrown into it. Scientists thought perhaps electrons were colliding with each other, so they fired 1 electron per hour. The result was the same. A single electron left the gun like a bullet, but somehow passed through both slits at the same time, collided with itself and created a wave pattern. Physicists realized something unbelievable. Until we observe an electron, it does not exist in a specific location. It is a wave of probability. It exists everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, pure chaos of possibilities. So the scientists tried to cheat. They placed a detector near the slits to observe which slit the electron passed through. And this is where something happened that changed our understanding of reality forever. The moment the observation device was turned on, the electrons instantly stopped behaving like waves. They began behaving like ordinary particles, as if they somehow knew they were being watched, and suddenly decided to act normal. This phenomenon is called wave function collapse. Without an observer, the world is an infinite ocean of possibilities. Everything is possible. With an observer, that ocean instantly collapses into a single solid point. Your attention selects one outcome out of billions and turns it into your reality. This discovery proved something both terrifying and magnificent. Matter obeys attention. The universe does not exist in a finished form somewhere outside. It behaves like a video game that renders textures only where the camera of the player is looking. If you are not looking at the world, it is just a cloud of probabilities. You literally assemble your room, your street, and your life in the exact moment you open your eyes. Without consciousness, the universe is unrendered code. You are the one who presses run. In October 1927, 29 scientists gathered in Brussels. 17 of them were or later became Nobel Prize laureates. But two figures stood at the center of the debate: Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. Einstein was furious. What quantum mechanics revealed frightened him. He believed in common sense. The world should exist on its own, whether someone observes it or not. His famous question became legendary: do you really believe the moon exists only when you look at it? It became the symbol of the old scientific worldview. Niels Bohr, the prophet of uncertainty, answered sharply, "Einstein, stop telling God what to do with his universe." Bohr defended the Copenhagen interpretation. Physical objects do not possess definite properties until they are measured. Imagine the universe as a deck of cards lying face down on a table. Einstein insisted, "The King of Hearts is already lying there. We simply cannot see it yet." Bohr answered, "There is no king there. There is only a fog of all 52 cards at once. The king appears only at the moment you turn the card over." Bohr's victory meant something enormous. It meant the death of objective reality. Every morning Einstein came to breakfast with a new ingenious paradox, trying to break quantum theory. And every evening Bohr found the answer. Eventually, the scientific community accepted the inevitable. Bohr was right. It was the official funeral bell for the idea of objective reality. Since 1927, science has accepted a shocking principle. The subject, the observer, and the object, the world, are inseparable. You cannot study the universe without changing it simply by observing it. Before 1927, you were a passenger on the train of reality, moving along rails laid in advance. After 1927, it became clear that you are the driver, and the rails appear exactly at the moment you look ahead. The old world of rigid facts: I am poor, I am sick, I will never succeed, died. Quantum physics proved something extraordinary. These are not facts. They are only temporary states that you have fixed with your attention. The moment you change the angle of observation, the card in the deck can change. A thought is not just an electrical impulse in the brain. A thought is a navigation tool in the ocean of probabilities. If reality cannot exist without observation, then you possess enormous power over which reality you choose to manifest today. Cosmic Wi-Fi. What is quantum entanglement? Imagine two particles that were created together or collided at some point. From that moment, they become entangled. They form a single system. Whatever happens to one particle instantly affects the other, even if they are separated by millions of light years. If you force one particle to spin to the right, its partner will spin to the left at the same moment. The speed of this information transfer is effectively infinite, billions of times faster than the speed of light. In Newton's world, this would be impossible, but in the quantum world, it is everyday reality. Why does this happen? Scientists arrived at a conclusion that is almost shocking. At the deepest level of existence, space does not truly exist. The separation between particles is merely an illusion created by our perception. It is like two fingers on the same hand. They appear separate, but they are controlled by the same brain and belong to the same body. The universe is not a collection of isolated stones and stars. It is a gigantic, non-local neural network. Everything that was once part of the Big Bang is still entangled with everything else. Why intuition and prayer sometimes work. Before the discovery of entanglement, the idea of thoughts affecting someone at a distance sounded like fantasy. Now it has a physical explanation. Connection between loved ones. When a mother suddenly feels that something has happened to her child thousands of kilometers away, it may be the entanglement of their biological fields. Intention and prayer. When you direct a focused thought toward another person, you are not sending a signal through empty space. You are interacting with the shared network in which both of you already exist. Your signal does not travel from point A to point B. It appears instantly at point B because both of you are parts of the same system. This realization led scientists toward the concept of the holographic universe. Each particle contains information about the whole. Your thoughts are not trapped inside your skull. They vibrate through the entire fabric of reality. Loneliness is simply a technical error in perception. You are connected to every atom in the universe. Your thoughts and actions create ripples across the entire quantum field. We do not merely live in the universe. We are the universe, endlessly interconnected and constantly responding to every movement within it. Quantum biology. Classical biology viewed the human being as a machine made of gears, chemical reactions, and electrical wires. But this model could never explain the most important question. How does the body coordinate billions of processes so quickly and precisely? The answer came from quantum biology. DNA is not merely a chemical structure. It is a library of code. Scientists discovered that the DNA helix can transfer information through quantum tunneling. This means mutations and corrections in the genetic code do not occur randomly. Instead, they follow quantum search processes that instantly select the best option among millions. Vision and smell. Your eyes detect a single photon of light, not simply as lenses, but as ultra-sensitive quantum sensors. And your sense of smell works not because of the shape of molecules, as previously believed, but because of their quantum vibrations. Your nose is essentially a spectrometer that hears the music of atoms. The biggest breakthrough in neuroscience. For a long time, we believed the brain produced thoughts the way the liver produces bile. But the quantum perspective suggests something very different. The brain is not a generator, it is a receiver. Microtubules inside your neurons, structures studied in the Penrose-Hameroff theory, may function like antennas receiving signals from the quantum field. Consciousness is not trapped inside the skull. Your brain is a terminal connected to the cloud server of the universe. You are not inside the world. The world unfolds inside your awareness. The Princeton experiments. For 28 years, Princeton University operated a research laboratory called PEER, Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research. Scientists asked ordinary people, not mystics, just students, to influence a random number generator with their thoughts. According to probability theory, the generator should produce results exactly 50-50. But when participants concentrated their attention on one outcome, the statistics began to shift. The probabilities changed. This became one of the most controversial conclusions in modern science. Human intention can influence physical systems. Thought can organize chaos inside electronic circuits. If intention can affect a complex computer in a laboratory, imagine what your attention does to your life every day. You are not a biological machine. You are not a mechanical body doomed to decay. You are an operator of the quantum field. Your cells communicate through entanglement, synchronizing billions of processes instantly. Once you realize that your biological interface is connected directly to the code of reality, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of chemistry. You become someone who tunes the system. The quantum hacker. When the discoveries of quantum physics became widely known, people realized something revolutionary. We are not locked inside a rigid destiny. If atoms are mostly empty space and particles are waves of probability, then every situation in your life is a piece of uncertain code waiting for instructions. Expectation is a command. In the quantum world, your expectations are not just thoughts. They are rendering instructions. If you approach a situation with fear and doubt, you command the probability field to collapse into a failure scenario. You receive exactly what your internal detector was focused on. Attention, the observer. The secret of hacking reality is simple. Stop reacting to what already exists. Start observing what you want to manifest. Most people live in reaction mode. They look at their empty wallet or illness and confirm its existence with their attention. A quantum hacker does the opposite. He focuses attention on the desired outcome, and the probability field begins to crystallize into a new form. Quantum physics is not magic. It is mathematical proof that a miracle is simply an event you made your priority. The equations of Schrödinger and Heisenberg officially gave us permission to believe in the impossible. Your operating algorithm. Step 1. Desynchronization. Remember that everything around you is vibrating emptiness. Remove the emotional weight from rigid problems. Step 2. Calibration. Focus your attention on your goal the way a physicist focuses on an electron. Step 3. Collapse. Hold your observation until the probability wave collapses into reality. Conclusion. The old game, based on struggle, effort, and endless resistance, is ending. A new era is beginning. The era of conscious control. You are no longer asking permission from the world. You are rewriting its code. Thank you for being with me on this channel. I wish you the best possible branch of reality. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.